We ain't got no troubles, no reason to complain. 'Cause here in great old Britain, we just love it when it rains.
Morning.
We're cozy here at home,
Even though it's not our own. But wait a few more years and who can say? Everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land. Everything is just fine. Everything is great. The streets can't get no cleaner, nor the rat meat any leaner. No, life is just first rate.
Everything is just fine.
These fish fingers are a steal.
Prices up a smidge.
Just £100 a meal.
Empty purse, but hey, could be worse if there was nothing in the fridge.
strategic realignment means I get to work for myself.
Yeah!
Paying off my law degree with tips from each delivery. Excuse me, sir, I have your tandoori. Everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land. Everything is just fine. Everything is great. We're soldiering on. We're doing our bit.
We're off to Dubai.
It's time to jump ship.
We're tightening our belts with a stiff upper lip. 'Cause everything's just fine.
That's a tongue-in-cheek new ad by the cryptocurrency platform called Coinbase, which appears to be a stinging criticism of Great Britain, and it might stir up a debate regarding the decline and fall of merry old England. Is everything just fine with our cousins across the Atlantic? The answer is no, it's not. It's not at all. Nothing is fine. In truth, the political conditions in England and Ireland have never been worse. The last several governments there have totally embraced the mass migration of Muslims, as well as climate change and net zero policies to hamper the economy and punitive speech laws for citizens who complain about any of it. Boatloads of hostile Muslim men cross the English Channel every day and are not sent back by the government. In fact, the government provides these foreigners with more support than they do for their own people now. Just ask our friend Tommy Robinson. He's been consistently threatened and jailed by the authorities for speaking out about the transformation of England into a third world hellhole. One thing English citizens know they don't have: freedom of speech. British citizens are now arrested for sending out social media posts that the British police don't like. That's right. You can go to jail for a simple tweet. They come to your home and arrest you. But if you're a Muslim, the police don't care what you say or do. The world has recently learned that British authorities turned a blind eye to Muslim grooming gangs who raped children in places like Rotterdam. Meanwhile, busloads of Muslim men are being installed in hotels across the country. They're fast-tracked into the government system, they pay no taxes, they don't work, and they regularly attack English people and each other with knives in the streets. It's the same story in beautiful Ireland, where hundreds of migrant camps have been set up in rural locations and filled with young military-aged men. And don't forget about Belgium and France and Sweden and Germany. In fact, all of Western Europe has been invaded by foreign armies without firing a single shot. These Muslims believe it's their religious duty to kill you if you don't convert to Islam. They don't come to live in peace. They come to conquer. Most Americans have no idea at all, that Great Britain has been invaded by Muslim men because the American corporate press does not cover it at all. And because the Biden regime was busy trying to do the very same thing right here in the United States of America for the 4 years in which it was installed. Look, it's time for people to pay attention. It's time for people to stand up and stop the suicide of the West. It's time for all of these foreigners to be deported immediately back to their homes, or Western Europe will be lost for good. And that's the absolute truth.
When I was 21 years old, a woman told me, you need to surrender your life to Christ because there's nothing left but death for me. We're out here raising funds for the girls, and this is just not for food and shelter, but this is also too for education, leadership.
I can give you this money, but really what matters is if these girls have Jesus in their heart. Jesus matters.
The governor of New York has announced the passage of new legislation allowing abortion up to the 9th month of pregnancy.
Let's do something about this.
You know what? Let's do something about it.
We at it again.
We at it again.
Let's go.
Oh, so stop and leave.
That's what you gonna do?
Yo, these kids came out for one thing and one thing only. And that's to destroy.
Wow, Bevelyn. Your life, even up to this point, is incredible.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes?
Agent Teresa Wheeler, FBI.
A biopic detailing the harrowing story of Miss Bevelyn Williams. She's the mother of 3 who was thrown in jail for her pro-life activism by the Biden regime, then pardoned by President Trump. The movie, starring our own Silk of Diamond and Silk of LindellTV.com, was set to premiere on August the 15th. But Mrs. Williams just shared this disturbing news on X over the weekend.
How you guys doing? I have an announcement to make, and it is not good news. It is really bad. So I got a phone call from the producer of the movie yesterday, and we had a 3-way call with Mama Silk of Diamond and Silk. And basically, all of the theaters have chosen not to play my movie. They've said no. Even theaters that were interested and agreed to play the movie have all backed out. Every single one has backed out. Those that agreed backed out, but also those that we were waiting on a response from completely backed out. No one will play this movie in theaters.
So the theaters are refusing to play this amazing story of a faith-filled, courageous woman, Bevelyn Williams, who refused to back down, stood up for pro-life values, and for it was targeted by her own government. So what Bevelyn and Silk are encouraging people to do, and you and our audience, is talk to your church. And if you want to host the powerful new film, Pardon Me, the Bevelyn B. Williams story, at your church or venue, all you have to do is email info@watchpardonme.com, info@watchpardonme.com. We will have more on this story this week as it develops with our own Silk. And of course, Miss Williams will be joining some of the shows this week as well, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, remember that you can watch Silk right here every night on Lindell TV, the great Silk, every night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Up next, Sheriff Mack talks to us about the possibility of ending the Fed. How much of a possibility is it? We'll discuss that after this commercial break.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Since 2008, the Federal Reserve has been quietly paying interest on bank deposits, turning a temporary anti-inflation measure into a massive windfall for Wall Street, rich bankers, and even foreign banks. These payouts have exploded. They were $5 billion a year. Now they're a staggering $186 billion a year. This is money the Fed is actually paying to very wealthy banks in New York and around the world, even at the same time that the Fed was running losses for taxpayers.
Senator Rand Paul is pushing a new bill to end the Federal Reserve. And we think with good reason. Since the Fed's creation in 1913, the value of the U.S. dollar, as you can see from this chart created by the visual capitalists, has precipitously declined. The Fed's monetary policies account for multiple economic failures and crises and are contributing to the total breakdown of America's middle class. Frustrated by the federal chairman, Jerome Powell, and his refusal to lower interest rates despite inflation being brought down to nearly 2%, President Donald Trump recently posted this on his Truth Social account saying, quote, Jerome, too late Powell has done it again. He is too late and actually too angry, too stupid, and too political to have the job of federal chair. He is costing our country trillions of dollars, in addition to one of the most incompetent or corrupt renovations of a building in the history of construction. Put another way, too late is a total loser, and our country is paying the price. Now, institutional failure is clearly afoot in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump has been exposing it as much in the second term as in the first. It's from the Fed to the FBI, and now we're joined by our friend Sheriff Richard Mack. He's the author of County Sheriff, America's Last Hope, to discuss. Sheriff Mack, it's good to see you. Tell us, Sheriff. And I'm interested to hear, as a sheriff, why, we're talking about the Fed. Some people may be like, huh? But you think that Senator Paul is on constitutional footing, I suspect, in his legislation to end the Federal Reserve.
Well, I happen to have a constitution in my hand. And it's
Look
from
at that.
Article 1, yeah, very good. Article 1, Section 8 says what the federal government and specifically the United States Congress has the responsibility to do. There's about 20 assignments that we the states, we the people delegated to the federal government. And this is specifically to the United States Congress, not to the central bank. It says this: to coin money, regulate the value thereof and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. That is not allowed to a central bank. Jefferson and most of the founding fathers were against a federal state bank or a central bank for the government. And what now has happened, they have created this monster, this Frankenstein monster, and it is now biting us, not just biting us on the backside, but it's destroying our monetary system. And just as you alluded to on your statistics at the beginning, they have destroyed the dollar. Paper money is a huge problem when it comes to maintaining its value. Most countries that have lost, like Zimbabwe, it took $5 trillion to buy a loaf of bread. Argentina has gone through it. Many banana republics have gone through it because they think if you just establish a monetary system on paper money, that it will work. And what was the big thing with BOGE? What was the big thing? It was to go find and audit the gold in Fort Knox. And then all of a sudden it stopped. And I believe 100% the reason that it stopped is because it would show the American people and show the world that our monetary system is not backed by gold, which is also a requirement. But this is the point I want to make. The Federal Reserve had no authority to exist in the first place. Congress cannot abdicate their responsibility and give it to private bankers. And the Federal Reserve is not federal. It's made of international banksters. And this whole thing with President Trump and Jerome Powell, President Trump wants to fire him. Good. Fire him and the rest of them. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. It is not helping America. It never has. And to follow up with Senator Paul, the Federal Reserve gets all our money from tax dollars every year, and it only goes to pay the interest on our national debt. And the reason we have that is because we have stupid, corrupt politicians in Washington, D.C. that continue to spend money we don't have and continue to support an illegal organization called the Federal Reserve. And we need to abolish it. And this whole stupid thing about they're charging $2.5 billion of taxpayer dollars. Who okayed that expenditure? They did it all on their own. And this Federal Reserve has become the dictator of America. And if you control the money, you control the country. And we have got to get rid of the Federal Reserve and its collection agency, otherwise known as the IRS bullies that have been destroying liberty in America since 1913.
Trump went to the Federal Reserve building site, right? Their renovation, their building.
Yes.
And he essentially audited it himself. He went, took a look. He said, what's going on here? I have the documents. He reads off the figures that obviously Jerome Powell didn't know or was trying to keep under wraps. You could debate that. He was clearly unhappy when Donald Trump says, well, I see 3.1 billion here, and he's like, no, it's 2.7. Then Trump shows him. So Trump essentially showed up, did a site visit, and audited the Fed. Now, he said he was going to do the same thing to Fort Knox. And I did commentary on this not too long ago because that was an early suggestion in this second term, but it seems to have gone by the wayside. Why doesn't Trump just show up like at Fort Knox just like he did at the Fed the other day?
Well, to be honest with you, I think he knows the truth. I think he knows that if he did, it would crash the dollar tomorrow or at that very point. And because they would see that there's insufficient or basically no gold in Fort Knox, it's not enough to back our currency. And the reason we had Fort Knox in the first place was to prove that, yes, okay, we're not going to, it's too difficult for someone to buy a home with gold and silver because it's too heavy. They said, so, okay, we'll establish a monetary system called the dollar. It's paper money, but it's completely backed by gold in Fort Knox. And I believe that the federal government, especially Congress, in order to continue their exorbitant spending, have taken the money and the gold out of there to fund wars and all they are, they're stupid things that they do with money. And if they went there and proved immediately that the money's not there, the gold's not there, it would crash our dollar and crash the economy worldwide, but especially in the United States. But if it crashes here, it crashes around the world. And I think they decided not to.
I think that's the only explanation because Trump was talking about it, then he backed off of it. And this isn't a topic that he would let go of unless he really thought it was a threat to national security, which an economic collapse would be. So I agree with you. There are some who say you can't fire Jerome Powell. I mean, he has, a matter of months left on his term. He can be replaced after that. Jerome Powell had seemed like he thought he was untouchable until Trump did that site visit. And then he seemed to get a bit nervous because we're talking about possible, criminal ramifications here, right? So what do you suspect will happen to the future of Jerome Powell?
Well, I hope it's the future of the Federal Reserve, that they all are fired and that they get rid of them. It is absolutely.
Do you think there should be any? Do you think there's any criminal implications here? Should there be criminal charges, accountability?
Yeah, but some of it will be aimed right back at Congress, because Congress had no authority to establish a Federal Reserve in the first place, and this is illegal expenditures. It's just like Planned Parenthood. They have no authority to give tax dollars to the Federal Reserve. They have no authority to give tax dollars to Planned Parenthood. And I'm with Bevelin all the way. I want to help her get that movie out. But the thing of it is, the bottom line is, not on pro-choice necessarily or pro-life. The argument doesn't need to be that. The argument should start first with, we don't use taxpayer dollars to fund a private organization that kills babies. And it provides no government service whatsoever. We have no responsibility as a government or the people, the government represents us, to pay for other people's abortions. I have no duty and no responsibility to pay for the abortions of the people who live down the street. Okay, that is not a governmental service, and for Congress to do that is absolutely criminal. And we even have Republicans that continue to support funding of Planned Parenthood. We have got to stop this, and we have got to stop the Federal Reserve, and we would get back to being the most prosperous country in the world if we could just simply get the Federal Reserve out of the way. And Trump is absolutely correct. Jerome Powell is now one man who doesn't even work for the federal government. They have an appointment by the federal government. He doesn't even work for us. And one man outside our government with a bunch of other foreign banksters now determines the value of our money. And Trump is right. We are losing billions upon billions because this man will not lower the interest rate. He should not have that authority in the first place.
Yeah, you know what? I really hope you can help Miss Williams get her movie out in the area you're in. I think we all need to rally behind her. I'm glad you brought that up. That was in the previous segment. We're going to cover that in more detail. It's a story that must be heard because she was targeted by her federal government. You saw at the end of that clip that I played, an FBI agent showed up this mother of three's house who was a Christian woman, a woman who was just looking to help people, help young women, and she was thrown in jail. And that brings us to the other institutional rot that we have, right, at the FBI. And I think we'll see that when we get to see the movie and when we hear more details about Mrs. Williams' personal story. So what is going on over there? We all keep wanting some accountability, right? There's reports, Zero Hedge actually is reporting that FBI Director Christopher Wray is under criminal investigation. Yet in the meantime, the new director, Kash Patel, who had the confidence of the Trump base, is wanting to go forward with the new FBI building. You know, it's kind of the same policy of the old guard. So what's going on here, Sheriff? And as a law enforcement professional, what do you want to see out of this FBI? I know you've offered to help. You offered to help right here on this show before they even got put in place at the FBI.
I did. Thanks for remembering that. I would love to help. I don't want new buildings. I want to see what Kash Patel actually said, that he wanted to get rid of some of the FBI. I would like to see that as well. To clean up that entire institution is going to really take some effort and courage. My father retired from the FBI. I grew up with the FBI. As a sheriff, I was invited to attend the FBI National Academy in 1991. I am a graduate of that. That is for law enforcement professionals to be trained nationwide. The FBI does excellent law enforcement training, and I really liked the academy. It was an 11-week course. And look, the FBI has been weaponized. Everybody, all the bureaucracies in Washington, D.C. are trying to catch up to the corruption of the IRS. All the bureaucracies get away with such criminality in Washington, D.C. We have Comey and Wray and numerous others that have continued to promote the corruption of Washington, D.C. We have got to stop that. I'm not concerned about a new FBI building. Maybe they need it, maybe they don't. What I'm concerned about is a new FBI. And can we really take such a corrupt, weaponized organization and turn it back to a service organization really trying to protect the American people and to protect America? I think that's the tough position that Kash Patel is in, and that's why I wish I was there helping. I would love to be an advisor, consultant, do it for free. I think Kash needs some better backup. I do like Dan Bongino also. He's a strong constitutional American, but we just need more of that there. And the FBI has been used as a political tool to go after the enemies of the president. Gary Aldridge, a former FBI agent, wrote a book about that back under the Clinton administration. There's just too much corruption in Washington, D.C. for us to be worrying about new buildings. I don't care if it's the Federal Reserve or the FBI or any other organization in Washington, D.C. We need to cut the size. We need to cut the buildings. We absolutely abolish the Department of Education. It's totally unnecessary. We don't need 4 or 5 different education associations running the education in every county in this country. It's absolutely absurd that the federal government has stolen so much power. And that's the predicament that Kash Patel is in. We have got to cut government, and we have got to cut spending, and we have got to get the corruption of Washington, D.C. under control and out of Washington, D.C.
Sheriff Mack, with your offers to help, whether it's the Pardon Me movie or helping out and advising at the FBI, I know you really mean it. So we thank you for that. We thank you for the great patriot that you are and that you joined this show. And it's always such a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much, Sheriff Mack. I hope they take you up on that offer. On both counts.
Well, I think that there's a lot of common sense and common law that needs to be restored to our country, and I'm willing to help.
Maybe we should show the Pardon Me movie at the FBI, right? I think that would be a good thing to do. Kash Patel could hold a screening of the FBI and say, this is what we're not supposed to be doing.
Well, and everybody should see the Police State movie by Dinesh. It's
that was a great one too.
Oh my goodness, everyone needs to see that.
Yeah, that's a great one. We could do a series of screenings in Washington, D.C. to retrain, re-educate. It was always the left trying to re-educate. We always have to do the same.
I'd like to help her.
Yeah, we definitely will do that. Thank you so much. We'll put you in touch with Silk. Thank you so much, Sheriff Mack. It's good to see you. Big breaking news out of Delaware County, Pennsylvania, as it relates to our good friend Leah Hoops, exclusively on The Absolute Truth. After this break, stay tuned.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer.
Delaware County, Pennsylvania spent over $4 million, actually nearly $5 million on outside attorneys in the year 2024 alone. That's according to newly FOIA documents reported in the regional publication called Broad and Liberty. And according to that outlet, that's more than 11 times higher than 2019 and is a record high for outside spending, surpassing even the previous record of the year before in 2023. And to pay for it, the good citizens of Delaware County are filling the added debt, with the county implementing a 24% tax increase in December of last year. So what happened since 2019 that could possibly warrant such massive outside legal assistance. Well, for one, the county went after citizen investigators and authors Leah Hoops and Greg Stidstrom, who brought the receipts and blew the whistle on 2020 election fraud in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, in their best-selling book, The Parallel Election. The county retained a high-profile, expensive law firm with deep government connections to go after Hoops and Stidstrom. In fact, according to numbers compiled by Hoops, the county paid out over $300,000 to the high-powered law firm in 2024. And that doesn't include what is paid out to the firm over preceding years for services like coordinating with the very left-leaning and biased and inappropriately named factcheck.org to quote-unquote debunk evidence and claims of election fraud, which of course they billed to the county in order to publish articles like this one that basically said, nothing to see here, of course, in response to allegations that 50,000 votes held on 47 USB cards went missing in 2020 in the county. Now, ironically, it's also the same law firm that represented Newsmax to defend it early on against Dominion voting machine and voting machine lawsuits. Ironic, right? Now, Hoops is being represented in federal court and suing Delaware County for a 1983 civil rights violations. The filing calls for all orders to be vacated as void, the case to be dismissed for lack of subject matter jurisdiction, and for a criminal referral to the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office and the U.S. Department of Justice. And that whistleblower, author, and sleuth investigator and our friend Leah Hoops joins us now. Leah, it's good to see you. This is big news. You've had several wins. I say this, I know I say it every time you come on, but I'm going to say it again because there's not been that many wins in this space of election fraud and the defamation case brought by those who dared to stand up or brought against those who dared to stand up. You and Greg actually have won, and now you're going to try to win again. Tell us about this latest effort, Leah.
Sure. So I wanted to just say thank you for allowing me to come on today. Always a pleasure, Emerald. So I wanted to clarify, there is still one case against us, a malicious prosecution case in Delaware County that is against Greg and I. It's been going on for 2 years now. So it adds only to the amount of money that the county is spending on Dwayne Morris to commit lawfare. So the 4 years that we've been going up against, almost 5, we've been going up against the county. They've been using Dwayne Morris to represent the Board of Elections. So in the Dwayne Morris billing that I retrieved from a public records request, you can see the coordination between the county solicitor, Dwayne Morris, and the county officials to come after Greg and I. I created an actual timeline in my response to the county in this malicious prosecution case. This kind of lawfare there's no such thing as a county being able to come after a citizen by use of what's called the Dragonetti Act or abusive process, aka malicious prosecution. So what they did was they suppressed, my rights. They've come after us with millions of dollars and a huge law firm, and it's going to bite them right in the butt because as of this week, I am filing in federal court for a 1983 claim. Now, the criminal charge referrals that you referred to, that's actually a part of the malicious prosecution case. I've not only, referred them to the DOJ and the, Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, but I have provided judicial notice and filed public corruption charges. I filed a complaint in the FBI, and I've actually notified Dwayne Morris in emails of what the Dwayne Morris attorneys and also the county has done to myself and to Greg Stenstrom. So I have a ton of evidence, obviously, and also there's no more plausible deniability because I've put them on notice for almost 4 years now. So we created another sting operation and we backed them into a corner. And now I'm coming after the county for coming after me as a citizen. And that's basically the big news that I wanted to share, that I haven't backed down, and now I'm going to sue them for everything that I can.
And you're hoping that the State Attorney General's office, as well as the Department of Justice, will get behind you. You've also been working some with DOJ officials in the District of Columbia at Maine DOJ related to the Biden regime's targeting of parents. We're talking about that a lot today because we featured the story of Bevelyn Williams and her movie that's being blacklisted. So you were one of those parents blacklisted and targeted in that as well. But this is completely different. What do you want the U.S. Attorney's Office and the DOJ to do in relation to this malicious prosecution on the part of your county and targeting you as a citizen? Again, you were targeted by your own local government in this case, right, for daring to blow the whistle on election fraud and just be a good citizen.
So what's interesting is that we were illegally surveillanced on a local, state, and federal level all during the Biden regime. They were all coordinating. Obviously, factcheck.org is housed inside the Annenberg Foundation, which is housed inside of the University of Pennsylvania. Their presidential professor was Joe Biden. The Josh Shapiro, who was the Attorney General, who sent agents to my home, was on the board of directors of University of Pennsylvania. It's all majorly coordinated at a top level. And then when you go back to the targeting of parents back in October of 2021, when, Garland sent out that memo, I've been fortunate enough to meet amazing people like Kelly Walker and other parents that were targeted at the time. But what was happening was the very same month that memo came out about, them using the Patriot Act against parents at school board meetings, that was the same month I was sued in Philadelphia for a defamation case, and my co-defendant was President Trump. So this is all during the same time. I mean, I have a full timeline of what has transpired over 4.5 years, and that will be a part of the federal case. I have everyone. I have every single person. I've been keeping tabs meticulously. And I told them a long time ago in that video when I was a county council, I said, I study them and they are my new project. And they have been for 4 years, and they stepped on my front door and they picked the wrong person to mess with.
So I just want to, because there's so much in there, I just want to, since we have the time today, unpack it a little bit, okay, for people to understand. Factcheck.org is ran by the Annenberg Center, right? They received Zuckerbucks. They received Facebook money. They bill themselves as unbiased. They come after me many times for my reporting on the 2020 election. They get the money from, okay, so we follow the money. They try to debunk these claims, they say, and that's being conducted in coordination with the law firm representing Delaware County, which is Dwayne Morris, okay, which I will add my personal experience to this story. Dwayne Morris initially was representing Newsmax, my former employer, in the defamation suit brought by the voting machine companies, right? Trying to defend Newsmax for what guests said and reported in the way of evidence of election fraud that has stood the test of time, okay? And we're about to learn a lot more and just how right we were. So while they were working with this left-wing Zuckerberg-funded outlet to debunk credible evidence of election fraud, they were supposedly defending Newsmax against defamation for the reporting on evidence of election fraud and guests like Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, who talked about election fraud. Is that clear? Is that exactly what happened?
Oh, 100%. Well, what's even more interesting, I'll give you one better. So in the 1,000 pages that I received in their billing from Dwayne Morris, they were in coordination again with the county solicitor, William Martin. In that billing, I also found that they were corresponding with Dwayne Morris's general counsel. His name is Michael Brown. He's been put on notice many times, but they were coordinating with Michael Brown, discussing the Newsmax case, the Allen v. Newsmax et al. Case, which was the other defamation case that I was named in. They were coordinating with Jim Allen, okay? So he filed that defamation case personally. They were coordinating and billing for that correspondence, discussing that case with public funds, okay, in order to see what they were going to do next for the malicious prosecution case. So it was a personal vendetta. They were discussing that case, which they had nothing to do with. And they were doing it because once that case was dismissed with prejudice against us, they then escalated the lawfare case, the malicious prosecution case against Greg and I. It's in their actual billing. That's why it's so important for people to file public records requests to see what these people are doing with your funds. So they're misusing public funds, which is a felony, by the way. And they're using it to target people like myself who have come forward and exposed them for public corruption and election fraud. And they're making millions of dollars off of it, for third party. And then you get into how they can cover up things because they say that they can't release certain things because these are private law firms. And it's just part of the collusion and corruption. And it's all to target citizens. It's to keep us silent and force us to comply. And they haven't done a good job at all. It was so interesting, Emerald, that they got so angry with me that I outsmarted them, that they actually mentioned it in the malicious prosecution case, that they were trying to penalize me for getting the billing records through public records requests. And they were angry that I was misusing the public records request because basically I got discovery before we even got into a courtroom. So they were angry that I exposed them. They were angry that I used the law. They're angry that I exercised my constitutional rights to petition my government. So this is why we're bringing forth the 1983 case, is because that was all used to silence me and go after my constitutional rights. And that's what's happening across the country. It's not just me.
It is happening across the country. And in fact, a lot of these, the law firms, how often do they say these same law firms come up in these cases? Because I know you look into so many cases. You're one of the best researchers I've ever met. I do know in particular, let's say with Dr. John Eastman, the judge that presided over his disbarment case in California actually had come to that bench directly from Dwayne Morris not too many years before she's presiding over this, right? Not too long, honestly. And it just seems like these same kind of names come up all the time, everywhere.
Well, then you have David Weiss, who also comes from Dwayne Morris. He's a subject right now, the Russia collusion and the Hunter Biden nonsense. And then you have Bill McSwain, who was the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District, who we reported to in 2020 about the information that we had about Delaware County. And he admitted to President Trump when he ran for governor of Pennsylvania that Bill Barr told him to stand down and hand over our information to Josh Shapiro. It was all obstruction. But the best part is that Bill McSwain ended up becoming a partner at Dwayne Morris in 2022. So that's where he ended up. And I've emailed Bill McSwain, and he knows exactly what's going on. And listen, they're going to get sued. I am eventually going to go after Dwayne Morris because they are liable. And I've put them on notice. So they have no plausible deniability, which is beautiful. I'm going to sue the pants off of them. And that's coming too. Everything I say is going to happen. It's going to happen.
Okay. Okay. So I want to go back to this Bill Barr issue because that's where I was going to go next anyway. He told Bill McSwain to stand down in relation to your evidence. You've been saying that since what? When did you first reveal that on this show? Like 2022? We've been talking about this.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was 21, I believe, because that's when Bill Barr was released. And then he came out and wrote in his book that the information from Delaware County was BS. And then he was going back and forth between McSwain in 2022 saying that was nonsense. But I believe Bill McSwain. He's a coward. But I believe Bill McSwain because if he didn't hand over that information to then Biden elector Josh Shapiro, who was also the Pennsylvania Attorney General at the time, who has said repeatedly that the 2020 election was free and fair, and he's, Soros' puppet. But if Bill McSwain really did not hand over that information to Josh Shapiro, how on earth did Josh Shapiro send 2 special agents to my front door on November 17th, 2020? I didn't hand Josh Shapiro anything. I handed the U.S. attorney information.
Okay, so that's what Bill Barr was doing. Tony Shaffer has also publicly stated that his former IC guy, a lot of people, everybody in the audience probably knows Tony Shaffer, who used to be on Newsmax with me a lot in the morning before, I was not on there anymore. he said publicly that Bill Barr personally called him and told him to stand down in regards to any kind of investigation into 2020. We've talked about that on here since the beginning of this show in 22. But this is a different DOJ, right? And you're calling on help from the Trump DOJ. Final question, we have like 30 seconds. What does the Trump DOJ need to do to help you?
So just have eyes on Delaware County and intervene. I have all the evidence. I've provided it to the FBI. I have a sitting complaint sitting in the FBI. I mean, everything's there. There's not really much they have to do. I would hand them a case on a silver platter. I mean, intervene in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. It's that simple. Reach out. I'm ready to testify. I don't know what else to say. We're sitting here. I'm raising my hand. I still don't understand why President Trump hasn't talked about Josh Shapiro. The guy's a criminal. There's plenty of us that are ready to testify. I'm ready to do what I need to do and continue, serving my country. And that's basically it.
And there's a lot of evidence that's already in the record, whistleblower video, behind the scenes footage that you all have released. I've heard from people talking to the you don't know this. I don't think I've told you that. That footage gets brought up in these as they're talking about going forward. That footage is central to whatever may happen in the future in investigations of election fraud. So I hope that the DOJ reaches out soon in regards to this issue. Leah Hoops, thank you. We will keep our audience posted as this develops.
Thank you so much, Emerald.
Vice President J.D. Vance says, he's just really focused on UFOs right now. So we asked the guy we know best to talk about this, Ashton Forbes, to discuss after the break.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at NirvantaHealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to NirvantaHealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
Like, I'm obsessed with the whole UFO thing. What's actually going on? What were those videos all about? What's actually happening? I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but we're only 6 months in. We've been very busy. That's actually the August recess is in part me going to try to dive to the bottom of the whole UFO thing from last year. So
you got to have us back.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Must be a really slow month in Washington, D.C. As the Ukraine war spirals into nuclear threats between Russia and America, the vice president is going to investigate the UFO story, according to what he just told former McConnell operative of Swamp Creature Josh Holmes. But actually, he's not alone. Prominent Harvard scientist Avi Loeb has told the New York Post that he too believes the massive object entering our solar system, dubbed Comet 3 Atlas by NASA, and looks something honestly like, from a Liberace concert, might be an alien ship on approach, and that the alien ship might be hostile. This isn't the first time the scientific community and media have gotten ginned up about an alleged incoming alien invasion. Here's noted UFO documentary filmmaker Jeremy Corbell talking about the government's plan to spread a lie that an alien invasion was coming from earlier this year. Listen.
So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth.
Meanwhile, Representative Anna Paulina Luna is demanding congressional hearings on this object and calling for NASA's Juno probe currently orbiting Jupiter to be retasked with intercepting this incoming alien ship, which is set to arrive around November of this year. You better get your affairs in order. Our friend Brandon Weichert isn't buying it. He recently tweeted that, quote, just as in 2020 when they got you to freak out over the glorified flu and surrender your liberties, they're going to get you to freak out over a space rock and surrender your liberties again. Joining us now is Ashton Forbes. He's the man who brought us the compelling MH370 surveillance videos and who's been tracking this story since it broke. I saw this story, Ashton, I said, get Ashton on the phone. Is there really a hostile invading UFO entering our solar system? Is there, Ashton?
Yeah, no, there's definitely not. That's definitely a space rock, 100% sure. And I know Avi Loeb. I looked at his papers. He wrote like 4 different papers he's co-authors on related to this, which is
Wait,
a lot of
didn't you
papers.
have him on your show once?
Yeah, I had him on my show, and I pressed him about advanced technology the government's hiding, and he said, well, they wouldn't be able to hide it from us and all this other stuff. Well, I'm glad we're here to talk about it now, because I have to say, like, this is the boy who cried wolf. We already played this once with the Oumuamua, which, okay, I was kind of into it then. Maybe it's a little awkward, but at this point, it's just a rock until it's been identified as something else. And his arguments for why this is something that's unusual is, oh, well, it's what are the odds that it's on this specific trajectory? I don't know. What are the odds it's on any trajectory? It's got to go somewhere. So until the thing starts to either change directions or slow down, there's no reason to believe it's of any artificial origin whatsoever. But the reason why I really criticize is that, as I've been exposing, the United States government, military, defense contractors have technology that is magical, quote unquote, even according to Lockheed Martin themselves or the Skunk Works. So if we have this magical technology, then at least aliens would have technology that's more, at least as good as us. So they're not going to be flying around on space rocks that are just hurling through the solar system. They're going to have something more advanced, like a fusion propulsion mechanism or something like that. I think it would be easily identifiable. So it's not that I'm against science. I'm not against doing research. I just think that Juno can't even get to the comet, the asteroid. I believe it's a meteor actually. Before they would even, it doesn't have the fuel to even do it. So I'm just down with ideas that are actually going to advance us further. So if we're looking for these UFO hearings, we shouldn't be sitting here looking at rocks in outer space and hoping that they're aliens. We should be going to Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and asking them, what happened to your compact fusion reactor that went dark in 2018 that you promised could have unlimited fuel range for any next generation aircraft?
That's a great question. One you're not supposed to ask. It's funny because I saw the pictures of this supposed hostile UFO, and honestly, it looks a lot like the Gravitron. You know, the pictures of it that you would ride in the 80s at the fair. But Ashton, you and I have talked about this before. They've been talking about some alien invasion for a while. Okay, for instance, let's take Lou Elizondo, a former counterintel operative. That he alluded to this last year. Listen.
Now, there have been some significant rumors of events regarding UAP that may occur within, like 10 years or so. I don't know if it's something coming or a natural disaster. You hear of something big coming down the pike. Have you heard of these claims? And if so, do you have any idea what it may be?
Yes, I've heard of them. Yes, I'm aware of them, and I'm not able to have that conversation.
Got it.
It's not my conversation to have, but I am aware of
it. And here's the thing, Ashton, Russ Coulthart, who doesn't really love, Lou Elizondo, kind of said something similar on News Nation, talking about the year 2027. News Nation seems to be the go-to UFO outlet. So what is this really happening? What are they doing? We were talking about the next gen capabilities that they've developed, perhaps a method for teleporting. What is this, I guess? What are they really doing here? Because there's always some reason they're putting out this narrative.
Yeah, and so let's just put it like this. I was just listening to Jim Simivan. He's a 30-year plus CIA agent, and he sounded exactly like all these people sounded during COVID, all the authoritarians, about you can't have disclosure because it might scare 8-year-olds. Are you kidding me? We can't have free energy and advanced technology because it might scare 8-year-olds. If there was nothing to hide, If they really didn't know what the UFO phenomenon was all about, which is what they all claim, all the bullshit, we don't know what this is all about. If that was the truth, they would just tell us everything. They would tell us everything they know. There wouldn't be anything as limited disclosure. The reason why there's limited disclosure is there's something they can't tell us, and it's not about aliens. It's about breakthrough technology systems. Even Gary Nolan, who's friends with Lou Elizondo and the rest of the crew, just had a clip the other day that came out and said, I did the math on these UFOs, and it would require this huge amount of energy. The aliens must have essentially a free energy device, an unlimited energy device. So what is this really about? It's about compact fusion reactors. It's about fusion reactors that can produce unlimited energy, that can pull hydrogen from the air breathing systems. So you don't have to have tanks on your rocket anymore. You can just pull the most of the fuel that it needs directly from the oxygen, from the air all around it, and it can fly, and it's super efficient. The big rub, the big trick, the thing that they're hiding, not just fusion, directed energy conversion. All of our energy systems right now, we're basically just spinning a turbine to produce electricity, and we mainly do that with steam. The most efficient way to produce electricity is to produce electricity directly. The way we imagine it's being done by nuclear power, which is not how it really works today, is a direct energy system that does fusion, that turns that directly into electricity at super high efficiency. That is essentially unlimited green energy for the world. That's what
Ashton, I know that you found a 2014 paper detailing how government scientists had developed a method for teleporting. We don't have time to get into it, but I'm going to bring you back for that one because my 9-year-old asked me this weekend, Mommy, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And I said, teleportation. So we're going to talk about that one later because we're out of time today. Thank you for jumping on today to talk about the latest in the UFO scare. We always appreciate you, Ashton. And of course, you can catch him on X and follow his podcast there. Thanks, Ashton. That's it for me. DC Live is next with Kara Castronova and Allison Steinberg, so stick around.